In a world that often demands more than it gives, it's easy to forget that our strength is not just in what we give, but in what we protect. As women, we are gifted with a power and a purpose uniquely our own. A purpose meant to shape the world in profound ways. Yet, to fulfill this calling, we must first learn the art of guarding what is sacred within us. Our hearts, our boundaries, our struggles, and our dreams. These are not to be shared freely, for they are treasures meant to be safeguarded. It's not weakness to protect them. It is wisdom in its purest form. Welcome to C.S. Lewis. Here, you will discover the path to a deeper and more meaningful relationship with God. In the quiet spaces of life, there is a truth that we must all come to understand. Boundaries are not mere lines drawn in the sand. They are the silent sentinels of our peace. When we allow others to cross these boundaries without care, we risk more than just discomfort. We risk our very sense of self. As C.S. Lewis wisely said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." Boundaries are the sacred act of withholding that consent. They are not walls meant to isolate, but shields to protect the essence of who we are. We live in a world that often demands more of us than we have to give. It seems that to love, to serve, and to care means to sacrifice our very selves on the altar of expectation. But I tell you, the most sacred parts of you are not for the world to consume. Your heart, your mind, your spirit, they are precious gifts that must be preserved, not because they are fragile, but because they are priceless. You were created for a specific purpose, one that no one else can fulfill. Your mission in life is sacred, and in order to live it fully, you must learn to protect it with wisdom. Boundaries are not just for others, they are for your own well-being. To set a boundary is to acknowledge that you are worth protecting. It is the act of choosing your own peace over the approval of others. Too often, we are taught that to love others means to lose ourselves in the process. But true love, the kind that is founded on respect and mutual understanding, begins with love for oneself. As C.S. Lewis said, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. This is the heart of wisdom, a willingness to protect what is sacred, even at the cost of displeasing those around us. And so, the first boundary we must learn to set is the boundary of silence. There is power in silence. It is in the stillness that our true strength resides. How often do we find ourselves speaking when we should be silent, sharing things that are not yet ready to be shared? Not everything within us needs to be spoken aloud. Our thoughts, our emotions, and our dreams are fragile when they are new. And if we allow them to be exposed too soon, we risk losing their purity. Silence, therefore, is not emptiness. It is the space in which our thoughts and dreams take root. It is the sacred pause before we give them voice, the time in which they can grow strong enough to withstand the winds of judgment. To guard your boundaries is to say, I value myself. I will not give more than I have to give. It is to protect your heart from the influences of those who have not earned a right to hear your story. There is wisdom in knowing that not every battle needs to be fought in public. Some struggles are meant for your prayers, your quiet moments with God, and the few trusted souls who truly care. As C.S. Lewis once said, your struggles are not for public display. They are the fires that refine you in secret, shaping you into who you are meant to be. Do not let your pain become a spectacle for the world to watch. Let it strengthen you in the quiet, where it can burn away what is not needed, leaving only what is essential. But how do we know when to speak and when to remain silent? How do we discern the moments in which sharing our hearts is an act of strength rather than vulnerability? The answer lies in trust. Not everyone deserves access to your deepest thoughts, your most sacred emotions. To share them with the wrong person is to risk the loss of something irreplaceable. Trust must be earned. It is not a gift to be given lightly, and it is only when someone proves themselves worthy that we can allow them into the spaces of our hearts. Until that time, silence must be our shield. To maintain boundaries also requires courage, the courage to say no when necessary. Saying no is not an act of selfishness, it is an act of self-preservation. It is an acknowledgement that your time, your energy, and your heart are precious, and that you are the guardian of these things. As C.S. Lewis said, "How you love yourself is how you teach others to love you." When you set clear boundaries, you are teaching others to respect your space, your needs, and your worth. It is not easy, for we live in a world that often rewards those who give without limit. But true strength lies in knowing when to say no, and in standing firm when others try to overstep. You are a woman of great worth, and your boundaries are not barriers, but the sacred space in which your life is able to flourish. The world may tell you that you must always be open, always be willing to give, but I say to you, there is power in discretion. There is strength in knowing when to keep something to yourself and when to share it. This is not secrecy, this is wisdom. This is the strength to guard your heart, your mind, and your soul from the influences of a world that often seeks to take rather than give. Your life is a journey, one that is uniquely yours, and in order to walk it with purpose, you must learn to protect your boundaries. As C.S. Lewis said, the only journey is the one within. The journey within requires space to grow, to heal, and to become who you were always meant to be. Guard your boundaries, protect what is sacred, and walk confidently in the direction of your purpose. There is a truth about the human heart that we must face. It is both a wellspring of immense strength and a place of profound vulnerability. Our emotions, our deepest joys, our most painful sorrows, are treasures entrusted to us, not to be handled carelessly, but with the utmost care and discernment. To expose them too quickly is to risk allowing the wrong person to carry a part of your soul that they are not capable of honoring. As C.S. Lewis once said, when the time is right, your victories will shine louder than any words. So, we must ask ourselves, when is the right time? How do we know when it is safe to open the door to our heart, and when we must remain silent? The heart is a delicate thing. It is a sanctuary where our most sacred feelings reside, and it must be protected. Not everyone deserves to enter that sanctuary. We live in a world that celebrates openness, that tells us to share every thought, every feeling, every struggle. But the truth is, not every moment needs an audience. To understand, some battles are fought alone. Some struggles are not meant to be seen, but to be prayed over, reflected on, and processed in silence. There is strength in this silence, for it allows us the space to heal, to grow, and to emerge stronger. It is essential to understand that sharing your emotions is not a weakness. It is a gift, but like all gifts, it must be given with care. Not everyone who asks for access to your emotions is capable of handling them with respect. Some may listen, but their intentions may not be pure. Others may offer advice when what you truly needed is empathy, and still others may be seeking to manipulate your feelings for their own benefit. This is why emotional discernment is vital. You must learn to distinguish between those who can be trusted with your heart and those who cannot. As C.S. Lewis said, vulnerability is not about winning or losing. It's about showing up when you can't control the outcome. But showing up doesn't mean spilling your heart to anyone who asks. It means choosing wisely with whom you share your deepest feelings. Some of your most personal emotions, your fears, your hopes, your struggles, are not for public display. They are sacred to you and must be nurtured in private until you are ready to share them. Not every battle needs to be fought in the open. Some of the most difficult parts of our journey are meant to shape us in private, to refine us in secret. As C.S. Lewis wisely noted, some challenges are meant to strengthen you in secret, shaping you into who you are meant to be. So we must allow these challenges to strengthen us, not by sharing them too freely with others, but by allowing them to become a part of our inner strength, woven into the fabric of who we are becoming. When you share your emotions, you are not just offering words, you are offering pieces of your soul. To entrust someone with that is an act of profound trust. And not everyone is worthy of that trust. This is why emotional boundaries must be set, just as we set physical boundaries. Not everyone has the emotional capacity to handle what we carry. Some people may not understand the weight of our pain, or they may try to diminish it with words that offer little comfort. It is up to you to protect yourself from these kinds of responses. You must know who has earned the right to hear your truth, and when it is the right moment to let it be known. This discernment extends not only to the people in our lives, but also to the way we share our emotions with ourselves. Sometimes we are our own worst critics, too quick to judge our own feelings as too much, too intense, or too complicated. But emotions, in all their forms, are valid. They are part of our human experience, and we must learn to honor them, not to suppress them or judge them. In moments of emotional vulnerability, we must be gentle with ourselves. This is part of self-respect. To respect yourself is to honor the emotions that are yours alone to feel. Do not allow others, whether friends, family, or society, to dictate how you should feel or when it is acceptable to express those feelings. There is also great wisdom in knowing that some emotions are meant to be processed in solitude. Sometimes we seek out others to share our struggles before we have fully understood them ourselves. But how can we expect someone else to handle our emotions if we have not yet taken the time to understand them ourselves? Before we share our heart, we must first take time to reflect, to pray, and to process. Only then can we speak with clarity and strength, knowing that we are not seeking validation from others, but sharing our truth in a way that honors our own journey. C.S. Lewis once said, "The world is so full of a number of things. I'm sure we should all be as happy as kings." Happiness, however, does not come from external validation or from opening ourselves up too quickly to others. It comes from within, from knowing who we are and what we value, from understanding the sacredness of our own emotions. When we protect these emotions, we protect our peace, and that peace becomes the foundation upon which we build our lives. Your emotions are a treasure. Your heart is a sacred space. Do not allow just anyone to enter. Guard your emotions with wisdom and strength, and only share them with those who will honor them as the precious gifts they are. When you do this, you will find that your heart remains intact, your peace remains unshaken, and your spirit will grow in strength, ready to meet the challenges that lie ahead. There is a profound power in silence. It is not an absence, nor is it a void. Silence is a fertile ground in which thoughts grow, dreams mature, and wisdom deepens. In a world that constantly urges us to speak, to share, and to expose ourselves to the scrutiny of others, silence becomes an act of strength. As C.S. Lewis wrote, "Silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation. In silence, we connect with the deepest parts of our being. In silence, we encounter the voice of God. It is in these moments of stillness that we learn to listen to the rhythm of our own hearts and the guidance of the divine within us." The world tells us that speaking out, being heard, and making ourselves known are paramount. But this message often leads to exhaustion, for in our constant desire to be seen, we lose sight of the most important thing, the strength that resides in our quiet moments, the peace that grows when we choose to retreat from the noise. Silence is not passive, it is active. It is the conscious decision to step away from the clamor of the world and to center ourselves in the presence of what matters most. When we allow ourselves to rest in silence, we are protecting something vital, our inner peace. There is strength in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, in knowing that not every part of you needs to be shared, and that not every emotion is meant to be exposed to the world. Silence is the guardian of your inner world. It preserves your thoughts, your dreams, and your sense of self. As C.S. Lewis said, "We are what we believe we are." If you believe that your worth is tied to your ability to be seen and heard, then you will forever find yourself lost in the noise. But when you embrace silence, you learn to stand firm in the quiet confidence that you are valuable, whether or not anyone else sees it. In the silence, we are not hiding from the world, but we are protecting the sacred parts of ourselves that are not yet ready to be shared. In this space, we heal, we reflect, and we grow. Silence allows us the time to discern where we are heading, to make sense of the storms within us, and to find clarity before we step back into the world. This is where the most transformative work is done, not in the rush to be heard, but in the patient waiting and the careful reflection. Silence is the shield that allows us to keep our peace when the world presses in. It is easy to get caught up in the noise, to feel the need to respond, to react, to prove ourselves. But the wise woman knows when to be still. She knows that her worth is not proven in every conversation, every interaction, or every moment of exposure. Sometimes, our strength is found in the courage to say nothing, in the quiet confidence that we are enough as we are. This is not to say that we should live in isolation or avoid meaningful connection with others. But it is to say that we must learn to balance the need for external validation with the quiet knowledge that our worth is intrinsic, not dependent on the applause or approval of others. In a world that often urges us to speak and share and perform, silence becomes an act of self-respect, a decision to preserve our inner truth and to protect what is sacred within us. As women, we are often conditioned to believe that we must always be giving, always be open, always be vulnerable. But true vulnerability is not about oversharing. It is about discerning the right moment, the right person, and the right context in which to share. Vulnerability is a treasure, not a commodity to be handed out freely. It is an act of trust that must be earned. To share your heart is to offer someone access to your most sacred space, and not everyone deserves that honor. The wise woman knows when to open up and when to protect herself. There is wisdom in silence, for it is in silence that we protect the sanctity of our hearts and minds. It is in silence that we grow strong, grounded in who we are and who we are becoming. In the stillness we encounter God, and in His presence we find the courage to be true to ourselves. As C.S. Lewis said, "The right action is the one we do with the knowledge that we have already been accepted." In the silence, we come to understand that we are already accepted, already loved, and already enough. It is in this acceptance that we find the strength to move forward, to act when the time is right, and to share what we choose to share. In a world that is constantly pulling us in many directions, silence offers us the space to listen to God, to listen to our hearts, and to listen to the world around us. It is in this space of silence that we discover our deepest truths. And when the time comes to speak, we do so with clarity and purpose, knowing that we are speaking from a place of deep understanding and inner peace. So, let us not be afraid of silence. Let us embrace it as a powerful tool for growth, for healing, and for connection with the divine. In silence, we are made whole. In silence, we protect our most sacred selves. And in silence, we find the strength to live authentically and with purpose. Vulnerability. It is a word that often carries a heavy weight, a word that we, as women, may shy away from in fear. To be vulnerable is to open ourselves up, to expose our hearts and our fears, our hopes and our dreams to the world. Yet, in the very act of being vulnerable, we unlock the deepest parts of our being and allow others to see the raw, unfiltered truth of who we are. As C.S. Lewis once wrote, "Vulnerability is not about winning or losing. It's about showing up when you can't control the outcome. It is the courage to be real, to be seen for who we truly are, without the walls we so often build to protect ourselves." But vulnerability is not the same as exposure. To expose oneself without discernment is to risk being misunderstood, judged, or even manipulated. There is wisdom in knowing when to open up and when to hold back. Vulnerability is a treasure, but not everyone is worthy of the gift. It requires careful consideration of who has earned the right to hear your deepest thoughts, your most intimate fears. As C.S. Lewis said, "The right person will not rush you to share your emotions, but will instead hold space for you with empathy and understanding." Vulnerability is not a weakness, it is an act of trust. But trust must be earned, and it is the wise woman who knows when and with whom to share her heart. To be vulnerable does not mean sharing everything with everyone. It means discerning the right moment, the right people, and the right context in which to be open. Vulnerability requires wisdom. It is not an invitation for the world to dissect your emotions, but an invitation for connection with those who will honor and protect what you share. This kind of vulnerability builds deep, meaningful relationships. It creates bonds of understanding, trust, and compassion. But when shared recklessly, vulnerability can leave us feeling exposed, misunderstood, or even betrayed. This is why emotional discernment is so vital. Just as we guard our hearts and our minds with boundaries, so too must we guard our vulnerability. It is a treasure that must be given with care. Not everyone has the emotional capacity to handle your heart. Some people may only seek to use your vulnerability to their advantage, or they may not have the wisdom to respond with the empathy that you need. The wise woman knows when to shield herself from those who are not equipped to handle her vulnerability, and when to open up to those who have proven themselves worthy. In a world that often encourages us to wear our hearts on our sleeves, there is great strength in holding back until the time is right. Silence is not always a retreat. Sometimes it is the space in which we gather the courage to be vulnerable when the time comes. Vulnerability is not something we give away lightly. It is something we give when we know that the person before us is worthy of it, when we have built the foundation of trust, and when we are ready to share it. Some battles are meant to be fought in silence, and some struggles are meant to remain private until the moment is right to share them. Not every pain needs to be voiced. Not every fear needs to be exposed. Vulnerability is about choosing the right time, the right person, and the right context. As C.S. Lewis said, "When the time is right, your victories will shine louder than any words." Your journey is uniquely yours, and only you can decide when it is time to share your story, your heart, and your struggles with the world. There is great wisdom in knowing that some parts of your soul are not meant for the world to dissect or judge. Some things are too sacred to be shared prematurely. Let your heart rest in the quiet until the moment comes when you can speak with confidence and clarity. There is strength in waiting, in holding back, and in choosing carefully the moments in which you allow others into the depths of your being. And yet, when you do choose to be vulnerable, do so with courage. To be vulnerable is to trust that your heart will be received with care, with empathy, and with love. It is to trust that the right person will honor what you share and protect it with the same tenderness that you gave it. Vulnerability, in its truest form, is a gift to be shared with those who will nurture it, not exploit it. It is not an invitation for others to see your pain, but an invitation for others to see your strength, your resilience, and your courage. As you learn to be vulnerable, remember this: vulnerability is not about seeking validation. It is about seeking connection. You are not opening your heart for the sake of someone else's approval or praise, but to create deeper, more meaningful relationships. Vulnerability is not about winning or losing. It is about showing up as your authentic self, ready to engage with the world from a place of strength, not weakness. Let your vulnerability be a reflection of your inner strength. The more you protect it with wisdom, the more it will grow into something beautiful, something resilient. When shared in the right context, vulnerability becomes the bridge that connects hearts, the thread that ties us together in empathy, compassion, and understanding. So, let your vulnerability shine, but let it shine at the right time, with the right people, and in the right way. In life, we all face moments of struggle, times when the weight of the world feels too heavy to bear. These struggles shape us, refine us, and ultimately strengthen us. But not every battle is meant to be shared with others. There is a quiet strength in protecting your struggles, in allowing them to unfold in private, where they can work their transformative magic without the interference of external opinions or judgment. As C.S. Lewis once said, "The struggles you face today are building the strength you need for tomorrow." Some of our deepest battles are meant to be fought in the secrecy of our hearts, shaping us in ways that the world cannot see. The world often encourages us to share our struggles, to seek validation from others, to lay our pain bare for all to witness. But there is wisdom in knowing when to keep your pain to yourself, when to protect it from the eyes of those who may not understand, or who may not be equipped to offer the kind of support you need. Not every hardship is meant to be a public display. Some struggles are part of your personal growth, your journey to resilience, and they require the space to work themselves out without the distraction of outside opinions. As you navigate the challenges of life, it is important to remember that some struggles are sacred. They are meant to be processed quietly, in prayer, in reflection, and in solitude. There is no shame in protecting your struggles, for in doing so, you allow them to transform you. It is in the silence that healing takes place. The process of growth and renewal often requires time, space, and the absence of external noise. When we share our struggles too early, before we have had time to fully process them, we risk allowing others to dilute or distort the lessons that those struggles are meant to teach us. Some of your battles are private, meant to be waged in the quiet spaces of your heart. As C.S. Lewis wisely noted, there is strength in silence. The work of healing is often done when no one is watching. When you choose to protect your struggles, you are not hiding from the world, but you are allowing yourself the space to heal. You are giving yourself permission to grow in private, to emerge stronger, more whole, and more resilient than before. This does not mean that you should carry your burdens alone. There are times when we need support, when we need to lean on others for comfort and guidance. But it is important to discern when those times are. There is wisdom in choosing who to share your struggles with, and when to open your heart to others. Not everyone needs to know the intimate details of your pain, especially if they have not earned the right to be part of that process. As C.S. Lewis said, not every story is for the world to hear. Some are sacred, reserved for your own reflection and growth. When we expose our struggles too quickly, we risk turning our personal battles into spectacles, open to the judgment of others. Some people may not understand the depth of what we are going through, and their responses may unintentionally add to our burden. By protecting our struggles, we give ourselves the space to process, to heal, and to emerge stronger. It is not a weakness to keep some things private. It is a strength to protect the sacred process of transformation that is happening within us. Remember that not every struggle is meant to be shared. Some are meant to shape you in ways that are private and personal. These battles are not for the approval or validation of others. They are for your growth, your healing, and your understanding. It is in these quiet moments of reflection and prayer that you discover the depth of your own strength. As C.S. Lewis said, your struggles will not define you, but they will shape you. Protecting your struggles allows you the time and space to grow without the distraction of outside opinions. Sometimes the world may tell you that you need to share your pain, that you need to expose your wounds to the light. But the truth is, some wounds require time to heal before they can be shared. Healing is a private, sacred process that takes place in the quiet spaces of our hearts. When the time is right, you will know. You will know when you are ready to share your struggles, not out of a need for validation, but out of a place of strength and clarity. You will know when it is time to share your story, not for sympathy, but to offer hope and encouragement to others who may be walking the same path. In the meantime, protect your struggles. Allow them to shape you in secret, to refine you in the quiet spaces of your heart. Trust that these moments of solitude are not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. The most profound transformation often takes place in the silence, away from the eyes of the world. In the quiet, you find your resilience, your courage, and your purpose. Protect your struggles, and allow them to make you who you are meant to be. There is a strength in self-sufficiency, a quiet power that comes from standing on your own 2 feet and making your own choices. Financial independence is not simply about having money. No, it is about freedom. It is the freedom to make decisions based on your values, not on necessity. It is the security to live life on your own terms, free from the constraints of dependency. Financial independence is empowerment, for it allows you to build a life that reflects your dreams and your purpose, not the expectations of others. As C.S. Lewis wisely said, we do not acquire wealth merely to accumulate riches, but to empower our choices and shape our future. To be financially independent is to claim your autonomy. It is to refuse to be shackled by anyone else's agenda, by anyone else's limitations. It means that you are the master of your own destiny, that your choices are yours to make and yours to own. When you have control over your finances, you have control over your life. You are no longer beholden to the whims of others, nor do you have to sacrifice your dreams to meet the demands of those around you. This freedom is precious, and it must be protected. But financial independence is not just about earning money. It is about managing what you have wisely. It requires strategy, discipline, and foresight. As C.S. Lewis said, "It's not the amount you have that matters, but how you manage what you've been given." To achieve financial independence, you must learn the balance between spending, saving, and investing. Each decision you make, each purchase, each investment, has the potential to either build or erode the foundation you are creating for your future. There is also great wisdom in the power of discretion when it comes to your finances. Your money, your savings, your investments are yours to manage, and you owe no one an explanation unless you choose to give it. In relationships, especially romantic ones, it is vital to protect your financial details. No one has the right to dictate how you spend your money or control your assets unless you have given them that trust. As C.S. Lewis once said, "True freedom is not being ruled by the opinions or needs of others." When you guard your financial independence, you are guarding your peace and your future. Financial independence gives you the ability to create opportunities for yourself, to pursue your goals without fear of financial limitations. It empowers you to make choices that align with your values, to stand firm in the face of external pressure, and to walk confidently toward your dreams. This freedom is not just for today. It is the foundation upon which you can build a legacy that will last for generations. As C.S. Lewis said, "The wealth we accumulate is not just for us, but for those we leave behind." When you take control of your financial future, you are not only securing your own peace of mind, but you are also laying the groundwork for future generations to thrive. But with financial independence comes responsibility. It is not enough to simply earn and save. You must also invest wisely. You must make choices that will grow your wealth, choices that will build a stable foundation for your future. This requires patience, planning, and discipline. It requires the ability to make decisions not based on what is convenient, but on what is lasting. As C.S. Lewis wisely said, "True wealth is not built in haste, but with steady hands and careful thought." When you achieve financial independence, you are free to live authentically, to pursue the things that matter most to you without being constrained by money. You can create the life you want, live according to your values, and pursue your passions without fear of running out of resources. Financial independence is not about hoarding wealth. It is about creating a life of freedom, autonomy, and possibility. But there is also a danger in being too open about your financial matters. In relationships, it is important to protect your financial independence from undue scrutiny or interference. Not everyone needs to know the details of your finances. It is yours to manage, and you have the right to keep it private. If you choose to share your financial goals or plans, do so with those you trust deeply. Guard your financial independence fiercely, for it is the key to your freedom and your peace of mind. C.S. Lewis once said, "It is not the accumulation of wealth that matters, but the freedom that wealth provides." Financial independence is not about accumulating more and more material possessions. It is about the peace that comes with knowing you can make your own choices, live life on your terms, and build the future you desire. Protect your independence, manage your resources wisely, and let your financial freedom be the foundation upon which you build the life you were meant to live. We all carry a history, a story written in the pages of our lives, filled with triumphs, heartaches, and lessons learned. This past is an integral part of who we are, but it does not define us. The experiences we've lived through shape us, but they do not dictate where we are going. The beauty of our story lies not in its imperfections, but in how we rise above them. As C.S. Lewis wisely said, "I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it." Your past has shaped you, but it will never limit your potential. What matters most is how you choose to carry that story with you, and how you protect it as you move forward. The past is a powerful thing. It can either be a source of strength or a burden if we allow it to control us. For some, the past is a treasure trove of lessons learned, a reminder of the resilience that carried them through their struggles. For others, it may be a painful chapter that still feels raw and unresolved. But whether your past is one of joy or sorrow, it is important to remember that it is not for everyone to know. Some aspects of your history are too sacred, too tender, to share with just anyone. These parts of your life must be protected, not out of fear or shame, but out of wisdom and respect for your own process of healing. As C.S. Lewis said, "The past is a story, but not the whole story." It is easy to be consumed by our history, to allow it to define who we are and what we can become. But the truth is that your past does not have to shape your future unless you allow it. You are free to redefine yourself, to let go of the burdens that once weighed you down, and to step forward with renewed purpose. This is where the power of protection comes in. Just as we protect our hearts, our emotions, and our boundaries, we must also protect our past. We must guard our history from becoming an obstacle to the future we desire. Your past is not meant to be carried like a heavy burden, dragging you down at every step. Instead, it is a teacher, an experience from which you can draw wisdom, but not one that should control your every action. As you move forward in life, you must protect the lessons of your past, but not allow them to define the limits of your future. To do so is to give away your power. To protect your past means not allowing it to interfere with your ability to move forward in hope, with clarity, and with purpose. There are times when we need to leave parts of our history behind, especially when it comes to new relationships or new beginnings. In these moments, it is essential to honor the lessons of the past while also honoring the present. Your past does not need to be an anchor that holds you back. It should be a reminder of how far you've come and the strength that has brought you to this moment. When you share parts of your past, do so when the time is right, when you are ready, and with people who have earned the trust to hear your story. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "You don't have to tell everyone your past, but you should tell the ones who matter most." The right people will respect your past, understand its significance, and appreciate the wisdom you've gained from it. They will not judge you for it or seek to diminish it. Instead, they will honor it and help you carry it with grace. These are the relationships that matter, the ones where the past is not a source of shame, but a testament to your strength and resilience. In guarding your past, you also guard your future. When we cling too tightly to what has been, we risk missing the opportunities that lie ahead. The past, while important, should never be the lens through which we view the future. You are not defined by your past mistakes, your past heartaches, or your past failures. You are defined by who you are now and who you are becoming. As C.S. Lewis said, "The only journey is the one within. The journey within is one of continual growth, continual renewal, and continual hope. You are not bound by what has come before you. You are free to create the future you desire. When you protect your past, you are not denying its significance. Rather, you are choosing to honor it in the most profound way possible, by allowing it to serve as a foundation for your future rather than a prison. Let go of what you no longer need. Release the weight of regret, guilt, and shame, and step forward with the knowledge that your past is behind you, and the best is yet to come. You are free to create a life that is rich with purpose, filled with joy, and shaped by the wisdom you've gained along the way. Protecting your past is not about hiding it or running from it. It is about choosing to live in the present with a sense of clarity and purpose, knowing that the future holds endless possibilities. You have the power to decide how much of your past you share, and with whom. You have the power to choose your path, unburdened by the shadows of what once was. As C.S. Lewis said, the future is something which everyone reaches at the rate of 60 minutes an hour, whatever he does, whoever he is. The future is waiting for you, full of promise and hope. Protect your past, honor the lessons it has taught you, and step boldly into the life that is calling you forward. As we reflect on the lessons shared throughout these chapters, one truth becomes clear. Protecting what is sacred, our boundaries, our emotions, our struggles, and our past, is not an act of fear or isolation, but one of strength and wisdom. By learning to guard these precious aspects of ourselves, we create the space necessary for growth, healing, and connection. The more we protect, the more we honor our worth, and the more we make room for the life we are meant to live. Remember, true power lies not in what we give away indiscriminately, but in what we choose to protect. Guard your heart, your dreams, and your past with discernment, and trust that in doing so, you are making space for the best version of yourself to emerge. The journey ahead is yours to create. Step forward in faith, knowing that you have the strength to protect what matters most. I'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections on the journey we've taken together in this story. What lessons have resonated with you? How will you apply these insights to protect your own peace, purpose, and future? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the C.S. Lewis channel for more inspiring content.
There's a void in your heart, and it will grow fast if you